Hey guys, Martin here bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so the other day I made a video talking about the potential leader skills that we could see for the New Year's Dual Dokkan Fest, Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Hirudegarn. And today I wanted to do a little bit of speculation about the potential EZA'S that we could see during that celebration, because obviously there's one big one that we are all expecting to see, and that's why we're starting with him up on the screen as we go through the intro here. I would be absolutely shocked if this guy does not EZA during this celebration. So obviously we're going to go over some of the other potential units. Wrath of the Dragon doesn't really have a lot of specific units from the celebration, especially when it comes to the extreme side, right? Like, there is no standalone Hirudegarn. The only Hirudegarn card in the game is the giant form transformation of AGL Tapion, who of course already has an EZA. So we're going to go through some potential units that we could see get an Extreme Z Awakening, as well as extra stages of Awakening for some of these units. Be very interesting to see. Some are more likely than others, but we'll dive right in. If you think there's any that I missed out on, or any that you would like to see included, because at the end of the day, right, we would like to see some of these units that are related to Wrath of the Dragon, but essentially they could do any like movie heroes. You know, Tapion is like storied figures and stuff like that. They could always tie in other units that are not necessarily directly from the movie, but we're going to talk about the ones that seem to be the most obvious or the most likely potentially, right? So of course we're starting off with LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku. This guy came out in 2017 on JP, which means when the New Year's celebration starts, he will be almost 10 days over being 6 years old. So he is actually the oldest unit in the game, I believe, right now. He's definitely the oldest LR. He's the oldest unit in the game that doesn't have an EZA. So if they don't EZA him during this celebration, I just don't I don't know, right? Like, there's no way it doesn't happen. It's a Wrath of the Dragon themed celebration. It's just, right? There's no way. So this guy getting his EZA will be very cool, at least we hope. You know, when he came out, he was notoriously the hardest hitting unit in the game. He lost out on some defense, which at the time he came out wasn't really like the hugest issue. But in this current meta, especially being a tech unit with all the int phases that we have currently in the endgame content, that would be kind of scary. So Dokkan, we have often seen with these EZAs, they keep some of these negative traits that these cards have. So I would imagine if he gets an EZA, he probably is still going to have some kind of like defense lowering on Super. Now, the way I would get around this is I feel like he's the perfect card with him unleashing the big like Dragon Fist attack. He takes a bunch of hits from Hirudegarn and like tanks them before he then does the Dragon Fist. I feel like his EZA would be the perfect opportunity for him. Give him the ability where he has damage reduction before he attacks. Now, to make up for the loss of defense on Super, I would say he should have some damage reduction just in general anyway. But he has his start of turn defense, you see there. We'd obviously boost that up, give him start of turn attack and defense. The reason why he didn't have any start of turn attack is because he gets all of it on Ultra Super. But we want him to do a big hard hitting Ultra Super, and ideally we want his 12 key Super to do some decent damage as well. So give him some start of turn attack. It doesn't have to be a lot. He could have like attack 100% and defense 150% at the start of the turn. 200% attack and then defense, like let's say minus 50% when performing a super, but give him 30% damage reduction in general and then 30% damage reduction before attacking. So then at the start of the turn, which is good against AoEs, right? He hasn't lost his defense because he hasn't 18 key supered yet, and because he hasn't attacked, he has 60% damage reduction. So I think that would be really, really good. That's the kind of ability I would like to see for him, because I think units who, after they attack, they lose a lot of their defensive capability, that can be bad, and obviously in certain situations that can get you killed, but I feel like that fits what this guy wants to be doing, right? You're trying to get that big super attack off to do loads of damage with the Dragon Fist, but I think giving him that ability to be safe before he does it is probably the main thing that we would like to see. So very much looking forward to this EZA. Like I said, there's almost no way, right, they don't EZA him, so I feel like he is a shoo-in. But as we move on to some of the other ones here, the other LR that we have in question is, of course, the Tapion and Minotia. Now, these guys, they came out in 2021, both for JP and Global. For JP, it was in April. So this unit is, you know, 2.5 years old at this point. We've seen units get EZAs kind of around this point in the game. And these guys are at the point now where they probably are just a bit outdated, right, in general. Like, you're not taking these guys into the Dismal Future Red Zone. So in that sense, you could say it's not too early for them to get an EZA, just because they're not really very meta relevant at the moment. But their active skill's super good. Removes all allies' negative effects. So events where you can get sealed, locked, all that kind of stuff, that's really good. And it gives all allies 3 key and attack and defense 20% for 2 turns. So very, very useful. I think these guys could be crazy good with an EZA. Like, their damage reduction that they build up with each super performed, whilst having the ability to do additional attacks. Like, if these guys got an EZA, give them a defense raise on both their supers as like the cherry on top, and then this unit could be really, really good, especially if we do get some of the other EZAs that we're going to talk about. Because when we think about their link set, because they are very similar to like a Tapion unit, they have links like Hero, Experienced Fighters, Brainiacs, Solid Support. Like, Cold Judgment is a really good link, but like, these links are not super good for just a general sort of movie hero setup. But, you know, you make their passive strong enough and they absolutely could be a very solid unit. And of course, their leader skill, I imagine, would go up with an EZA to like 160 or 170 for 2 categories. Definitely very good for a post-EZA lead. So these guys, whilst I don't necessarily think these guys have anywhere as much of a chance, and if we're going to get this EZA, we won't necessarily get this one as well. But these guys would definitely be really good. When you think about last year, now that could be a one-off because, you know, the superhero celebration, but on JP, over the course of that whole celebration, we got the AGL Gogeta and Physical Broly, and we got LR Gohan and LR Cell. Now, those 2 LRs are obviously connected, so it makes sense to EZA them both at the same time. But we still got 2 LR EZAs. So just because we will probably be getting this guy, I don't think that means it automatically means we won't get this one. But like I say, they could be a little bit early, they might consider for these guys. So I wouldn't count on it, but I think it's definitely a possibility. Now, while we're on the Tapion units, remember this guy? Yeah, TEQ Tapion. TEQ Tapion has been in the game for a long time as well. Damn, he actually came out like, yeah, he came out at the same time as, well, the same day as Dragon Fist Goku. So I guess when I say the oldest unit without an EZA, we weren't really thinking about non-Dokkan Fests or LRs or anything. But yeah, this guy came out the same day on JP. He is the only summonable Tapion in the game that doesn't have an EZA. I say that as if there's loads of them, right? The only other summonable one is the AGL one, but he does have an EZA. So I would definitely expect this guy to be picking up his Extreme Sea Awakening in this celebration. I mean, look how basic this unit is because he's so old. Supreme damage and lowest attack. Attack and defense 80% start of turn. Built-in chance to crit. And then changes STR Key Spheres to Rainbow Key Spheres. Now, with this base, it's not a lot now by today's standards, but he could actually be really good. You know, attack and defense start of turn. Obviously, this will get boosted up. Built-in chance to crit, which they could quite easily change to high or even great. Like, why not? He's not exactly... It's even with a great chance to crit. He's not... Even with a 100% chance to crit, it's not like he's going to be the hardest hitting TUR just by giving him crit chance, right? So, I think higher the crit chance, that'll be really good. And then, yeah, changing orbs to rainbow could be very useful on some of the other teams that he's on. So, depending what else they choose to do... Because he needs some kind of defensive tech, ideally, especially as a TEQ unit in the current meta. But I feel like he has the potential to be very, very good if they decide to really give, some decent effort. Because we've seen some random side banner units in the past, like units like Giant Ape Turles and some of the Heroes characters and stuff, where they do actually put some effort into these side banner unit EZAs, and then they turn out to be really good. So I think Tapion definitely could see... a very interesting EZA. And again, now realizing that he is as old as the Dragon Fist Goku, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't EZA during this celebration. And I thought I'd mention the only other Tapion unit is this SSR Tapion, who you get from stage 1 of the Haruta Khan like Dokkan event, and he's only an SSR. So he came out at the same time as well, right? Because this event came out so you could get the medals for AGL Tapion. yeah, this guy's only an SSR, so he could easily get a TUR Awakening and potentially an immediate EZA, which, you know, we've talked about in the past how immediate EZAs aren't always that good, but for free-to-play characters, like if you're a free-to-play player and you don't have any Tapion units, this guy getting an Awakening and an EZA and then being good and potentially being meta-relevant would obviously be good for you, rather than him getting a TUR Awakening and being relatively good and then getting an EZA in the future. Obviously, the ideal scenario is he just gets a TUR Awakening and is really good and meta-relevant and then gets an EZA in the future. But like I've said, with free-to-play units, they can always just give them the immediate EZAs and then in the future just make a new free-to-play unit that is also good. But this guy, I think, definitely could get at least a TUR Awakening, and then if not that, also an EZA as well. He doesn't really have a lot going on in his passive, right? He debuffs extreme class enemies attack, which is not very relevant in any events. He just has attack start of turn. I mean, he's an unawakened, you know, free-to-play unit, so what do we expect? But kind of a blank slate to give him a good EZA, so I would like to see that. And then there's a couple of other heroes. There's a couple of other free-to-play units as well. We have this Tech Trunks with the sword, with the Tapion in the background. He is a TUR already, but does not have an EZA. He has a unit super with Tapion. So obviously if we're going to start getting some more Tapion EZAs and stuff like that, this guy getting an EZA would be a very good free-to-play option. He has built-in stats with extra stats on super, which is always nice. He has built-in chance to crit. He gets extra attack and defense with heroes allies. He does debuff the enemy's attack, but again, not super relevant. And then if you have a Tapion on the team, he also is a defensive support unit. So you think about, you take all these little aspects of his passive and you just tune them all up a little bit. He actually could be a very useful free-to-play unit for a movie heroes team if we are then going to be getting like a good like again, say that Tech Tapion. If he becomes a really good like support orb changer, this guy only needs Tapion to be on the team, and then he's a defense support. So if they would juice that up to like, you know, all allies attack and defense 30%, and he's a solid free-to-play unit that can kind of hold his own, he could be good on that Movie Heroes team with Tapion, at least as a free-to-play option, right? If you're someone that has every unit in the game, Movie Heroes is such a jacked-up team that you're probably not going to be using any free-to-play units, but he definitely could be good enough that if you're someone who is having to consider these free-to-play options, they could make him good enough to be relevant, and I think that would be pretty awesome. Now, there's also the two Saiyaman units, right? There's the Int Great Saiyaman and the Physical Great Saiyaman 2. These guys are in the same boat as the Physical Tapion, where they don't actually even have a TUR Awakening yet, which I always forget that this Gohan isn't a TUR. I really like the art, obviously the beginning part of the movie where Saiyaman tries to fight Hirudegarn. I think this guy getting a TUR Awakening would be really cool. He is currently a super class allies attack support, so again, you make him a good unit that can hold his own in the meta, and then Movie Heroes gets another powerful like support. He's also, of course, on Hybrid's Goku family. He's on Kamehameha, Special Post Defenders of Justice, like all of this good stuff. He could be very useful for a lot of these teams if he's actually good, you know, because his links, whilst not the craziest, he definitely could be very, very helpful for some of these teams if he becomes a solid unit. And then the Great Saiyaman 2, she just has very basic defense start of turn, but she's a super class allies defense plus 40%. So imagine if these guys get TURs and then, you know, potentially immediate EZAs, like we were saying with Tapion. Her having a decent enough kit, physical units in a good spot, you know, the opposite of tech because of all these int bosses. If she has a good enough kit that she's runnable, and then she's giving like super class allies defense 50%, she could actually be pretty good for some of these teams, like Movie Heroes, Earthlings, Earthbred Fighters, like, could be pretty interesting, right? So I do think that these units getting these updates would be very cool. All three of these units are from this story event, the Wrath of the Dragon story event. You can see the farmable cards here on the right-hand side. Now, one thing I think would be very cool, I don't know if they would have announced that in the news already, although I guess it could be upcoming on JP in the next couple of days. But imagine if they revamp this event into like a Dragon Ball story. And then obviously not only does it all get reset, but you just add a couple more stages to give you the medals to awaken, like Trunks obviously awakens already. Add another stage or two that gives the medals to awaken Great Saiyaman and Great Saiyaman 2. Maybe even in this event, you could add a stage that drops the medals to awaken the physical Tapion. And then they just have to drop an Extreme Z area for all 4 of those units. And then there you go. There's all those, the 4 free-to-play units from Wrath of the Dragon, all now as TURs with EZA'S. I feel like that would be very, very cool. And then one final unit, which I think is, you know, unlikely, considering I don't remember the last time they actually even bothered to give an SR, a Dokkan Awakening, into an SSR, is the fact that we do have this one single Hoi card in the game, who is just a summonable SR, which means he's in every banner. You've probably seen him pop up a bunch of times. It would be kind of funny if he was, like, if they did give him an Awakening in an EZA, because I doubt he's a unit that a lot of people have kept copies of. So there'd be a whole bunch of people that just wouldn't even be able to use him. But, you know, summonable SRs, I feel like they really don't care about the quality of, like, a summonable SR. They could easily just give away copies of him with missions or something. But yeah, he would need an Awakening, because he does awaken to SSR. Then he would need an actual proper UR Awakening and a TUR Awakening, and potentially like the EZA as well, all in one go. But remember, with the STR Turles, they did do that during Turles' celebration. The only difference was he was actually a farmable free-to-play unit in the first place. So I do think it's very unlikely. The New Year's banners haven't had side banner units for any of the years except for the superhero ones last year. So I don't think for the most part we would be expecting these New Year's banners to have side units. But if they do, I would probably expect Harudagan's banner to actually just have an SSR Hoi and then have this SR featured. So then that would pretty much, I would say, almost guarantee this guy isn't going to get anything done to him. But if they're not going to have side banner units, I mean, it's a very slim chance. Out of every single unit we've mentioned in the video, I feel like it is the least likely that this guy could get an EZA. But you never know. He could get at least an Awakening up to a TUR or something, because he is an extreme class support unit, 2 key attack and defense 20%. So once you get him awakened up at least to like a TUR level, this could be 3 key and 30 or even 40%. And he could be, you know, could be somewhat decent. Like, extreme damage would obviously go up to Supreme. He has a chance to stun, give him, you know, an actual decent passive, and maybe he'd be okay. I mean, his link set's pretty terrible. He does have Thirst for Conquest. He has Brainiacs, Master of Magic. He would obviously pick up Shattering the Limit. But because they'd have to give him an actual UR and a TUR form, he could get an extra link on top and then Shattering the Limit. So hopefully something actually good, right? But I guess we'd have to wait and see. I think he's the least likely, but maybe he could get one. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Out of all the units that we've mentioned so far, I was going to say which one do you think is the most likely, but it's probably this guy. Which ones would you like to see? How would you design any of those EZAs if you could choose? Let me know down below in the comments. You can be as detailed or not as you would like. I'd be interested to read those and see what you guys think. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens. We should be getting news about the New Year Jewel Dokkan Fest over the next couple of days. Even though I might still be away, I will try and get any news videos recorded if I can. So let me know what you guys think. Are you excited? Even if you're a global player, are you excited to see what this celebration will bring? Because obviously it will come to us around the April time. I've always liked the Dragon Fist, so I'm excited. I hope Goku is, you know, contention for being one of the best TURs. But we shall wait and see. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.